The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by our good friends Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same thing you hear on Running Point every single day. And man, we got a good show for you on this one. We're going to always recap the night before. We had a great night of action last night on the hardwood. So we will go over the scores on the scoreboard on ysnlive.com. We have another Coach's Corner and season preview to play for you today. We're starting to wind down the ones that we got in the preseason. This time we are going to show an interview with Michael Skrinjar, the head coach of the Southern Local girls basketball team. And what a great opportunity it is to talk to him. He coached our All-Star game last year. Great friend of YSN, great friend of the show. So we can't wait to play his interview and let you guys hear from Southern and what their girls program has in store this year. So that's coming up as well. And then, of course, we will, as always, preview the night that is going to be happening tonight on the network. So without further ado, let's go right into the scoreboard on ysnlive.com. The scoreboard is a great tool for the YSN fans, whether you're at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts. Either way, you don't want to look away from the screen for too long. And the YSN scoreboard is a great and easy way to get live updated scores from across the YSN family, whether they be your best friends or your heated rivals. If you want to know what's going on, then the YSN scoreboard is the best place to go to find it out. The YSN scoreboard can be found at ysnlive.com/scores, and it is presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. So let's get into the scoreboard right now. It's set on today, so what we have to do is we have to go to the bottom and scroll to last night and check out these scores. We'll start with boys basketball. We had 4 matchups in boys basketball, and we start with Orange, who got the big win to snap a little bit of a losing streak over Cleveland Shaw. Final score was 50. Excuse me, 56-48, the final score there. Orange gets the win. Liberty and West Branch playing each other. West Branch rolls 72-40, your final score in that one. Campbell and Western Reserve playing in MVAC action. And it is Campbell that gets the 67-63 win. Western Reserve puts up a really big fight, but the Red Devils eventually pull off the win. And then in Champion, it is LeBray that beats the Flashes 55-37, the final score in that one. Derek Wilson has a huge night for LeBray, scoring 31 points and lifting the Vikings to an MVAC win. We go to girls basketball. Fairport Harding falls to Pymatuning Valley 53-16, your final score. A balanced offense for the Lakers. They had just about everybody that played score, and they roll in that one over Harding. Another dominating win for Western Reserve as they start the week right with a 50-22 win over Shocker. In this one for the Blue Devils, Izzy Morrow had a big scoring day, and Quincy Miller also was in double figures for Reserve. Badger gets the win over Matthews, 46-44. That's a nice victory for the Braves. I know they're dealing with a couple of injuries, like a lot of teams are. Unfortunately, we've seen just too many really good players go down this year. Badger in that boat, but they're able to scrap out a victory over Matthews by 2. That's big for the Braves. Beaver Local goes on the road against St. Clairsville, and they get the 40-39 win on the road. A thriller for Beaver Local, and they are able to just barely nip the Red Devils on the road. It's a great win for the Beavers. Southern Local, who we'll hear from today, they were hosting Wellsville, and they got the win, the big win over Wellsville, 55-36, one of the better offensive performances that we've seen from Southern so far this season. They're, of course, hoping that keeps them rolling momentum into the rest of the EOAC season. You got Lakeview and Ursuline. Ursuline gives Lakeview their first loss of the year. It's also Ursuline's first win of the year. So that's a big quote-unquote upset for Ursuline. But, you know, the way Ursuline's schedule was formed, you kind of realize that they weren't as dire as the situation might have appeared with their record. They might have been a winless team, but they were playing really good basketball teams, of course, like Ursuline always does in every sport. So, you know, they came in with like, come on, we got to get this win. And it was another really tough opponent in Lakeview, but their defense and Kennedy Carpenter both up for the task. Carpenter with a phenomenal game. Ursuline's defense kind of holds Lakeview in check. 56-42, the final score there in Cortland. Fitch was able to knock off Walsh Jesuit, but they got a fight from the Warriors, 54-47, the final score in that one. Boardman goes on the road to Aurora. They fight really hard, but they lose to the Lady Greenman, 39-33, the final score there. Aurora is going to be a really good team in the tournament, by the way. That's a quality loss. I mean, no moral victories, of course, but you're playing a really good team and you fight them to 6 points. That's a positive step, I think, for Boardman. Cardinal Mooney goes on the road to Warren JFK, and that JFK offense with the tandem of Gianna Palpilia and Dee Ryan strike again. JFK wins 56-31, the final score in that one. Valley Christian all over East Palestine, 29-21, the final score there. The Eagles get the EOAC conference win. In Howland, they go on the road to St. Joe's, and they fall 52-31. United gets a big league victory over Latonia, 53-9, the final score there. Another freshman, Maylee Smith, having another wonderful performance. One of the best freshmen that we've seen so far in the YSN family, scoring at a very high rate so far this year. She strikes again. Louisville goes on the road to Marlington. They get the win 49-23. That's the final score in that one. Maplewood and Grand Valley, the battle of the unbeatens in the early next season. Maplewood gets the win, though, 49-30. And, you know, hearing the post-game interviews afterwards, you know, reading about that, coaching staff were like, hey, we didn't play great. And they still won by 19 against unbeaten teams. So that tells you the standard right now in the Maplewood locker room and what they're trying to strive for. They have another big test on Saturday. They'll be at home against Lakeview, who now just had their first loss of the season. Lakeview has another tough one before that, though. South Range comes into Cortland on Thursday. We go to Cheney, Madison, Washington. They're kind of a shocker this year. You know, we saw them last year against Austintown Fitch. They had a couple of good players, but they weren't really, you know, lighting the scoreboard up. And then here they are this year, undefeated coming in, and they just pound Cheney by the final score of 76-33. 78-33. I mean, Madison, Washington, a really good girls basketball team this year. They got some ringers coming into that school. Mohawk at home, they get the big win, 48-13 over New Brighton. Eric Hughes did a good job with that story. It can be found on ysnlive.com. We thank Eric Hughes for the coverage of Mohawk And the story afterwards, Niles traveled to Hubbard last night, and Niles gets the big win over the Eagles, 52-46. I keep saying it like this is not the same Niles that we've been used to so far in NE8 play in girls basketball. They are going to beat some people. They have a chance to pull off a big upset next on Thursday when they go on the road against Poland. And speaking of Poland, they're just doing Poland things. You know, they go on the road against Gerard. Gerard's a team that's kind of a little bit licking their chops, thinking this might be a year where they can knock off the Bulldogs. They have the home game matchup, and Poland comes in and gets the win, 40-33. This was another good fourth quarter for Poland. Tough first quarter. So far this year, the story for Poland has been tough starts, great finishes, right? They've had one game so far this season where they led after one quarter of play. And in this one, they trailed after one quarter. They trailed at halftime. And then they led by 3, I think. I want to double check this. I want to say 3. I think they led by 3. Hold up. I'm going to check the scorebook. Because you want to be right on Running Point, right? We strive ourselves on being right. We're not afraid to double check things. Yeah, at halftime, Gerard had a 16-13 lead. So Poland scored 13 points in the first half. But then in the second half, they score, do the mental math, that's 27. So they more than double their first half score in the second half. After 3 quarters of play, they were up by 3, 25-22. And then they just expand that lead even more in the fourth. 40-33, the final score. And I've been saying it all year. Because there are some people that have watched Poland, that start they had where they lost to East and they lost to Cheney, and you know they struggled for a while against Champion before winning, and it was like a 1-3 start, and people were like, "Uh-oh, this might be the year where someone knocks off Poland." And I was like, "Hey, you know what though? When Poland gets into NE8 play, they just seem to know how to win. They turn it on, they find ways, and so far this year." They've done that. They've found ways. They haven't played, amazing basketball, but they find ways to win. They're Poland. And if you want to knock Poland off their mantle in the NE8, you're going to have to go and beat them while they are playing well. They're not going to give you any games. I have very rarely seen Poland play in a conference game where they just don't play well and the other team wins because of it. Every time I've seen Poland lose in the NE8, it's because the other team just kind of shows up and just outplays Poland in a really well-played basketball game. They've never been blown out in the conference. I believe like their losses are like of a combined maybe 10 points. Like they do not lose by a lot in the conference at all, ever. So this is a thing where it's this, if you want to knock them off, even if they're maybe not as good, when I'm using air quotes, I know you can't see me, not as good as maybe they were in the past, or maybe they don't have the talent, the basketball talent that they've had in the past. Winning cultures are tough to beat. They prove it time and time again. Every year, there's a reason to think that maybe Poland will be down, and then they just go out and do their business, right? And they did that last night at Gerard. They went, they completed their business. They had a great game. Lucy Harrell had a huge game, 17 points for her. Eliana Thompson was back in the lineup. She is trying to find a rhythm again after missing the game against Springfield. So having Lucy Harrell score 17, monster, because to that point, Eliana Thompson had been the one that was doing most of the scoring. So to find Lucy Harrell get a groove, they needed every bit of those 17 points to win against Gerard. They also had contributions from all the other people that they usually get. Sophia Generalovic chipped in. I'll go back to the scorebook. I'll just tell you. So Lucy Harrell finished with 17 points. Sophia Generalovic had five. Leanna Bocherry, who's really coming on, had 9. Cassie Blanche had 5. And then you had a couple of girls with 2 apiece. For Gerard, they were led by both Allie Gassman and Kaylee Wilkes with 14 points per. But then outside of those, Gerard scored a total of 5 points. So they just didn't get enough complimentary scoring from players not named Wilkes or Gassman. which is surprising because Mackenzie White's usually that third-headed monster, but Poland did a really good job defending her and taking her at least away. And then Kaylee Wilkes and Allie Gaspin took advantage of that and scored pretty well. 7 of Kaylee Wilkes' 14 points came in the fourth quarter, so she did all she could to try to get Girard back in the game. But at the end of the day, you got to have more than 5 points from the rest of the team to win basketball games. And Poland did a really good job shutting down everyone else not named Wilkes and Gaspin. South Range gets their first conference win of the year. I was at this one in the field house, and they jumped on Struthers early, and they never really let go of that lead. There were times when Struthers would make a little run and stop South Range from really running away with this game, but the closest the Wildcats really got was 7. South Range would always push back and keep that lead at that 13, 12, 11 mark. They ended up winning by 11, so this is a game where South Range maybe didn't play a complete game the way that Jeff Fishel wants them to. Like, they played a little bit less great in the second half. They made a few more turnovers. They didn't shoot as well in the second half. But at the same time, you jump on them early, and then you use that defense and the clutch offense to make sure that your lead stays. I think that's going to be South Range's formula a lot of these times. Get an early lead, use that defense to keep the other team. And use that defense to keep the other team down, and then just kind of find the offense as it goes in the second half. South Range is going to be a hard team to come back on this year because of that, because their defense, when they get into situations when they can really press you, and that's when they're scoring, they can set up their press, and then they can really put a lot of ball pressure on you, trap you a lot. When they can do that to your offense, they're going to be really hard to come back on if they can get leads early. So I think South Range's formula to win is exactly what we saw in the field house last night. Good starts, get a lead, and then use your defense to secure that lead. They're not going to blow people away with their offense. They're not going to score 60, 70 points per game, but they're going to score enough for that defense to keep their leads if they can get off to good starts like they did against Struthers. Gwen Lowry had 20 points in this game. A lot of those came in the first half. She hit a couple of threes in the first half, really found her rhythm. They also had 10 points from Taylor Dado, who hit a couple of big free throws down the stretch as well when Struthers was trying to extend the game on the free throw line. And she also rebounded really well. I mean, South Range was not the bigger team. Like, Struthers had probably out-rebounded them overall, but when South Range needed rebounds, Taylor Dado would go in there and get some. Gianna Martin had a day for Struthers. I mean, she did everything she could to try to keep them alive, rebounding like crazy. Had multiple times where she would get the offensive rebound after a free throw and then get fouled and go right back to the free throw line. So South Range had a really tough time keeping her off the board. That'll be a storyline when South Range plays Niles, I think, because I think Niles, one of their strengths this year actually is their size. So when South Range eventually plays Niles, I think that'll be one of those teams that the Dragons can look at and say, hey, we have never beaten this team in the conference. We have one advantage in this game, and that'll be something that Jeff Fisher will have to look for when they do play. It's not this week. The South Range will go to Lakeview on Thursday, and then they'll be back in action next Monday after that, where they have rescheduled that Liberty game that got canceled for their home opener. I mean, it was their home opener. It's not anymore. So they're looking ahead for South Range. They have Lakeview on Thursday. They come back to Liberty on that Monday before Christmas, and then after Christmas they have their holiday hoop special where they'll play Friday and Saturday, along with 16 other games in those 2 days. YSM will be there for the full slate of those games in the Thriller Dome. Me and Ty Bartel, we've been doing that tandemly for a while now, and we will continue that trend at South Range on December 27th and 28th. Can't wait for that. But South Range with a big win on the road to get their first conference win of the year. They're now 2-3, 1-1 in the conference. Speaking of conference play, Warren Harding, they get the win over East, 51-25, the final score for the Raiders there. And then last but not least, East Liverpool They travel to Union Local, and they fall to Union Local 69-31, the final score in that one. So that does it for the scoreboard from last night. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have the Coach's Corner to play and season preview from Michael Skrinjar, the head coach of the Southern Local girls basketball program. That's coming up next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. You heard from them in that commercial break. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every day, and we continue to do that on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. A lot more sunny than it was yesterday, and we will play a Coach's Corner and season preview from Southern Local, Michael Skrinjar, and the Southern Local Indians. So after the big win over Wellsville last night, let's hear what he had to say about the season and the roster that he has put together and the expectations that he has for the Indians this year. Anthony Hartwig here with a Southern girls basketball season preview and Coach's Corner. We're joined by the head coach, Michael Skrinjar. Coach, thank you so much for coming on talking to us.
I appreciate the opportunity and the time. And I know you all hear it all the time, is that what you all do is very, very special. You showcase these athletes. You put a shine on their life. And so I'm very appreciative to be a part of it.
All right, even though we are a couple of games into the season, we're still going to treat this as a preview and talk about expectations and things you expect out of the team this year. And first, I want to talk about some lessons that you think returning players can learn after the experience from last year and the time they got on the floor, and what you hope they take from last year's experience.
Last year was an amazing year. It was something that I believe that our two seniors, Josie Stanley and Ashley Schroeds, were definitely envisioning all their hard work and dedication paying off for their senior year. They come into a year where they had another sectional championship that's back-to-back sectional championships, and they hadn't done that in 20, 25 years. And then they were a part of a league championship with a three-way tie with United and Columbiana, and that championship, status hadn't been done for Lady Indians basketball in the last, I believe it was 25 years as well. So with those things, those moments, I think one of the best things I saw out of it was how they honored their seniors, how they just were backing and supportive and did everything they could for them. And then how they, I believe they cherished the moments, the pictures that they were able to take when records were broke, just the camaraderie among the players, and then highlighting those two seniors. they learned that. Now the court experience, I believe, in big time moments. A lot of teams defended us differently last year because of Ashley and Josie, and then even Alyssa with the ability for her to be able to shoot the three. So I think the ones that were our younger players had to showcase themselves at times and be scorers because so much focus was putting on shutting down our two seniors. And then that experience has turned over into the season, and they've taken that, and they know that it's now their time, and that's a great feeling for me because it's exciting. Every time we step foot into a game, we see another player step up, and without the emergence of those two leaders that were last year, and then you see our players right now becoming those leaders, and then just making big time plays and having lots of fun and building the team that they inspire to build. So and then putting into a new era. Because that's a lot of things what they're saying is like they've done their work with those two seniors for the last 2 to 3 years, and now our freshmen coming in, and it was just that time was to showcase them, and now it's their time to take off with the program and then put it into a whole different realm.
Let's talk about this year. Let's talk about the roster you put together and the names that we're going to be hearing a lot for Lady Indians basketball this year.
We got a nice, solid group of 12 girls right now that are just bought in. They believe in one another. They celebrate one another. You start off with our freshman, Emerson Gottschall, hard-nosed, played last year for our junior high team. Our junior high team went undefeated and won the championship in the EOAC. Just a great group that they had last year. And then now those 7th graders moved up to 8th grade. But Emerson, as a 8th grader last year, I thought had a lot of potential to be a good player for us and be physical. And she does a nice job for us. Right now doing rebounding, doing the little things, and finding a way to spotlight her time on the floor. So I'm very proud of our freshmen. Our sophomores is, I continue to say, one of the most athletic groups that I've ever seen in my time at last 7 years of girls basketball. They have 8 of those sophomores, just an amazing group. So super proud of them. I would love for them to continue to stick together. All 8 played last year. All 8 came out this year, and it's they're the core of our team, and they give us a lot of toughness, a lot of character, and that they're helping us right now really establish the expansion of our culture and who we are. You start off with Sarah Hawk last year, who got a little bit of playing time here and there, but she had worked on her skills to be able to, when she was inserted last year, to be able to contribute. So one of the things that she was able to do is to develop a nice mid-range shot. She got a chance to get herself in a varsity game, and she knocked that shot down, which is testimony, doing things every day and practicing, and those things are going to pay off in the game. And super proud of her as she comes into the year. Ava Reed is another sophomore that we have, is a great defensive minded young lady, but really had worked on her offensive skills throughout the summer, and she ran a lot of the point for us in our summer activities and our summer camps, and super proud of her. And she's developing her ability to score, but just a tenacious, hardworking, just do the details young lady, and super proud of her. You go into our next sophomore, which would be Lydia Spollinger. She is just a physical animal out there on the floor. She's a wrestler. I said it last year, wrestling background. Sometimes those wrestlers make the best girls basketball players. She's learning to take her skills from what she had learned as a wrestler and apply them to basketball within the rules, and that makes for a great ball player. Super athletic, gets up and down the floor, and really developing her ability to score as well. Wants to learn and improve her basketball IQ. So super proud of her. You go with Addie Martin. Addie Martin last year was a sharpshooter for us when teams were going triangle and 2. We brought her in, and she had big time games against our league opponents that were really trying to shut down our top scorers. And she came in lights out, wide open, knocked down 3. That's her mentality. She's playing really great defense right now, and learning that she has also the ability to be that showcase scorer that that we like to produce. And I think that's the confidence we try to build in our young ladies. Another sophomore would be Haley Maines. Haley Maines has worked herself into the rotation as one of our starters this year. Last year, she was just energy every day in practice. totally bought in, super focused, a great player that we could definitely use to last year, and just as a practice player to go ahead and say, you're going to give us a great look. And then she worked her way in some last year, but this year has taken her game to another level with just her attention to detail, her energy, her willingness to expand our culture and what we believe in, and the energy, celebrating her teammates, and just, being a great player. So that's a huge aspect of being a starter. And she brings that just attention to detail right off the bat. And I'm super proud of Haley Maines as a sophomore starter, rotator into that. Our next sophomore would be Riley Digman. Riley Digman last year was one of our Indian award winners, which we highlight, who we believe is just a representative of the best Indian, and someone who not always got a chance to play in the games, but would be someone who would take our culture and put that to our passionate bench, and be out there and be detail oriented and yelling out who the shooters were, just be super talkative. And that to me was to be able to celebrate another when you're not the one out there playing. I was super proud of her character and what she developed throughout the year. This year, she's become a player that can, now it's her time to go out and play. She's really refined some of her offensive skills to where she can definitely help us out. She's, continually be a great hustle. And then she is what I consider the ultimate teammate. She's willing to support her teammates in any situation, and then just be an energy player, someone who's talkative, and just someone I'm very, very proud of. And she's now in that rotation as a varsity player, just with the little attention to detail that we define in our culture. Our next ball player would be Rayleigh Caracello. Rayleigh Caracello was an honorable mention ball player last year, was a starter sophomore for us this year and last year. She started our playoff games. She's one of the best athletes that I've seen, come through Southern Local, just willing to do whatever it takes to compete. Her motor is unbelievable, her ability to leap off the floor, and it shows in other sports and softball. She's a super competitor. And that's why as a freshman, she got on the floor, and in big games, she's starting for us, willing to go up and grab rebounds, willing to get hustle plays and go get steals. And now it's her time again, with missing 25 points a game from Ashley Schroeds, it's her time to find ways to score as well. So I think they're all enjoying that, but the idea is like building their confidence up that it's their time to do that. And then that's fun to coach when everyone has that mentality. So our sophomores is just a great group of 8. And they are a very powerful group when they stick together. And that's, part of who we are as culture, is that they have to be together. And when they are together, they can do special things. That's our core. And then we have 4 amazing juniors. 2 of them have been starting from, freshman year, in Alyssa Schroeds and McKenna Jones. I'll talk about them later, but we did get the blessing of having Maddie Jones, McKenna Jones' twin sister, come back out. She had last year focused a lot on track, and she was a state competitor her freshman year in the disc. So she has championship, mentality, championship experience, which I think, definitely brings a different element to our team. We had to have that type of leadership, people that have been in that moment. I'm so glad that she come back out. She is a young lady that with Haley Maines that are training just like Ashley Schroeds did. They're going to train every day if they have an off day. So they put their time in the weight room. Maddie Jones is one of them. She is a powerful force, one of the strongest young ladies that I've been able to coach. And she's applying that strength and that championship experience to the basketball floor right now. And I think she's having a lot of fun, but when you have to take a year off, you have to get caught back up, and now you can really see her really start to develop and enjoy that time. But she is an amazing young lady, and Maddie Jones, and I'm so very blessed to have her back out, because she's a leader in the school, a great competitor with great experience, and she has done a heck of a job at the start of the season. Her twin sister, McKenna Jones, like I said, has been starting since she's a freshman. She is one of the ultimate hustle players that we've been within the program. She goes after every 50-50 ball. She averaged had an opportunity to average about 10 rebounds a game last year. Really developed a nice mid-range jump shot, and now it's her time again, like the others, to go and find ways to score. But she's a great leader. She enjoys basketball and the passion of it, and she's scrappy. So super proud of McKenna Jones and her ability now. 2-year starter, now 3-year starter for us. And it's very special to have those type of players with great experience. We have now also Haley Kellogg. Haley Kellogg was a young lady that is a junior that played with us over the summer. and was just one of our very solid leaders when we were going through summer camps, taking a younger group and just going out there and battling, and then being able to handle that adversity and knowing that those girls are looking for her to be that leader and someone to like help in a situation where they're basketball's not an easy sport, and when teams get after you, you have to stick together and find ways to combat that. And that's the nature of sports, is what happens with adversity. And Haley Kellogg handled those younger players so well over the summer, and it's carried over into this year as a leader. She's developed her ability to handle the basketball, shoot big time threes. And that's just, again, the nature of this growing sport in girls basketball, is that you're seeing these girls emerge and just be amazing young ladies on the floor, just players that just allow their personalities to come out on the floor. And she's one of them. Strong force, wants to take a charge, likes to play with a lot of physicality. And that's the nature of our culture that we love. And then you finish off with Alyssa Schroeds, a young lady that had a lot of notoriety last year, just being an all-county player, an all-league player, a young lady that set the record for 51 three-pointers in the season. She had 8 her freshman year, and she set that record. She carries that name, Schroeds, but she is Alyssa Schroeds, and we refer to her as Alyssa. She loves her sister, but this is her time, and I've seen within the last 2 games just she becomes something very special in her own personality, and it's like you get to see that. That's a blessing as a coach, to see a player just take the next step, and she has done that and wanting to take over and just be Alyssa Schroeds, and that's a very special thing. She's a sharpshooter, shoots from anywhere on the floor. We always kid with her that Caitlin Clark put her mark on Iowa. I would love to put an Alyssa Schroeds mark somewhere on the floor, because she has range that in that three-pointer that she can shoot anywhere, and she's not afraid to shoot it. So and we believe in that. So that's the nature of the sport. Allow their character to come out. So we're blessed with a great unit of 12, which builds continuity. And I think that's what basketball is all about. You got to have a great team that's willing to be able to work for each other, go to war with each other. It's a sisterhood.
Let's go right into the schedule now. You play in the EOAC. Everyone knows last year it got kind of wild. You had a 3-way tie with United and Columbiana. What do you expect out of the EOAC this year? I know there are a lot of teams that lost seniors like you did. What do you expect out of it, and what are you hoping to do when you come into EOAC play?
Our league, I say year after year, is super competitive, and there's been times when you've watched other teams come into a night when anyone has the ability to really it's like the NFL. Might be favored with the record, but another team come out there and just play lights out, and that makes each game extremely interesting and extremely, you can get, some, anxiety into that, because, we always tell our girls, these girls are coming out to play every night, and that's every team in the EOAC. I continue to believe that we have some of the best coaches in our league, that, very, very, respected. I respect them throughout our league. I think that they do a great job getting their kids, where they need to be at, and coached up and fired up, especially when they play the Lady Indians. So that's what you want anyways. You want a game that's going to be with it great intensity, and that's what's fun to coach in. So I know going into the league, we had a 3-way tie with United and Columbiana, and kudos to Columbiana, because they got us twice. And that's obviously the league favorite, and the team to beat. They've done a great job in the volleyball season. That kind of competitive nature carries over to the next sport. Carries into their culture. So you have to you want to play teams like Columbiana. You want to play Columbiana because they obviously, when they're winning, that's the team you have to knock off. Just like the United team was for us last year. United had our number, and you have to find a way to overcome that. And that's why you play competitive sports as well, because you want to be the best and do your best, and then put yourself in a situation to win games. So I continue to, to say that about both, Columbiana and United, 2 great programs where girls are going to do whatever it takes to try to win and play hard. So, and that's just, those 2 teams. You look at Wellsville is going to continue to be competitive, well coached. Into your Valley Christian, every time we play them, it's going to be scrappy. Latonia as well, scrappy. East Palestine, scrappy. And you continue to look at those teams, and I think with our league, and us playing each other twice and the way that works out. And it just makes for an amazing atmosphere for competitive sports. And I'm super, super excited to continue to get after it. And, you throw in there Lisbon as well. No discredit to, and I didn't say them right off the rip, but I think Lisbon, we've had, great, wonderful battles against them. But I appreciate that. I like when those athletes compete that way, because it's a moment that they can really highlight as, let's live the moment. And that intensity is really a part of what is this growing sport. If you look right now, the WNBA, the NCAA, and women's basketball is just something very special to be a part of. And I'm so glad that it's getting more exposure. But it's always been a tough, physical natured sport. That when I was coaching football, this is the closest thing I can get, if not even more, because we don't have pads on. More physical than football. So it is a joy to coach. And, our league is a representative of how tough basketball is for girls.
Definitely see my fair share of tackles in girls basketball at the high school level. So when you talk about your coaching staff, I want you to get the chance to highlight them from the bottom up and the people that are working with you to make this program great. Because we know, even though we're interviewing you and you get kind of the limelight, that you don't do it by yourself. So talk about your staff from the bottom up and the people that are making this program as good as it is.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by, just outstanding people. And you said it right there, Anthony. You don't do anything, great without having great resources, the great foundation, people who are willing to volunteer time, invest. And I know I'm long-winded anyways, but I have an amazing group. We've really expanded our basketball out, a lot. Then, our girls that are in high school right now always look at, our youth and say, man, I wish we had that when we were back in school and had the kind of the development that it's, grown to, and at the kindergarten level. I'm, blessed with at that level with people that Lacey Sailing, Lindsay Smith, at my second grade, Justin Guerin, who's on my staff as a varsity coach, Elizabeth Marcella, a previous player, just amazing people. At the third grade, Cortland Kellogg, another great coach, has been coaching all different sports from football to softball, and now he's down at the youth coaching his daughter at the third grade. Michelle Cole. These are great people that, come in to practice for an hour and a half, that, that volunteer their time and to build something special for our young ladies. At the fourth grade, I have a ton of people involved. Scott Brown, he's an Indian, Jeff Beadle, Marissa Walter, Rachel Donaldson, John Smith, all great people involved in our fourth grade. Our fifth grade, Kai McCauley, she's a previous player like Elizabeth Mostella, Abby Frank. And then we're even blessed to have, and I'll name drop him out there, he's one of the best coaches, in the area. And Coach Blatch, Aaron Blatch, is helping out with our fifth grade. His daughter plays for the team, and it is just nice to have him in the gym as well. But those are the people that are doing those kind of things for absolute nothing. But the turnout is, the results is something very special for our young ladies on a day in, day out, because we practice 3 nights a week, and they're coming out there on their own time, and the program's built from them. And I'm so super, super blessed to have them, and thankful and grateful. At our junior high level, one of the coaches that coached me up, he's an assistant and a volunteer, is Mike Boyle, from 2 top people in our junior high, and they're going to continue to be dominant again this year, with coaching Nikki Kellogg, who does everything in our boosters for us. She's an amazing Indian, and will give anything she has for the benefit of another, for the benefit of the Indians program, and she does that with just so much ease. It's just a blessing, and what she does is just shine light on others. And Corey Boyle, a Hall of Famer at Southern Local. I played with him in high school. He's our 8th grade coach. Does AAU all year round. Super knowledgeable in the game. And again, I'm so thankful to have him involved, because he's teaching some great fundamentals at the level, and it's really paying off. They won a championship last year, and they'll be favored to win it again this year, which is an amazing thing as we all come up through. We're all in this together. My assistant coaches are Indians, guys that I've coached. Chris Ingledew is a varsity assistant and volunteer, just an amazing assistant. I coached him in football, and I love having him out there. Tommy Tardina has joined the staff. I coached him. He just let me know that I coached him 17 years ago when I coached baseball for Southern Local, and that's a long time ago. So he did put it in perspective how long I've been coaching, but just another Indian that's willing to do whatever it takes for our staff. And he's breaking down film. It just shows the girls what it's like. Our staff does a great job of showing our girls what it's like to work hard and be a proud Indian. And then my varsity assistant, Justin Guerin, one of my best friends growing up, he's joined the staff. He came to almost every game last year, sat behind the bench, and just wants to be a part of the program, has a daughter in the 2nd grade. So that's the small town connectedness of what we have. And, like I said, being that my best friend growing up, we graduated with him, played sports with him. So it's awesome to say about, 25 years ago, hey, did you think that we'd be, coaching girls basketball 25 years ago when we're graduating and playing basketball ourselves at Southern Local? So it is a blessing, and it's so much fun to talk about and how full circle it gets. And then I have one of the most loyal people that I've had on my staff, and Mark Withrow, Josie Stanley's dad, that has been with my staff for the last 4 or 5 years, and has just been an incredible man to have as a friend, as a representation of what it's like to do whatever it takes for another. He is that way, and he's been super loyal, and just brings that tough, hard-nosed mindset that we want. And I love having him around because we need that. Our girls, need to know that they're going to go through adversity and have tough lessons, and he represents that as well. So I'm super proud of having Coach Withrow on board. And I don't do this alone, and that's a great time that YSN does, to say, hey, give props to the people that's around us, because I am because of the people that have helped me out, and we made our program what it's been. And we got a lot of people involved, and it's something very, very special.
Coach, you have put together a special program at Southern. We love talking about it. We love having you on. Thank you so much for coming on, giving us your time, and talking about this wonderful sport that we know we love. We will be out there covering you all year, so we'll talk to you real soon.
I appreciate your time, Anthony. You all do an amazing job, so thank you very much.
Michael Skrinjar, the head coach of the Southern girls basketball team, talking about his program. And dude, that guy has such a passion for his team and his program. It is clear talking to him and listening to him talk about the players. He listed every person on the roster and just broke down exactly what they mean for his team. And he had plenty to say about it. It wasn't just coach talk. It wasn't just, she's, just a good athlete that brings a good attitude, and that, he knew everything that each player brings. And I love that, because some people might call that long-winded, and he even made a joke about it, about himself in there, and said, I'm probably being long-winded. But I think it just shows that he just knows his team inside and out, and he cares about his team inside and out. Usually the thing that you talk about the most is the thing that you care about the most, right? When you're a fan of a team, you're going to talk about that team a lot more than you talk about anything else. When you're a fan of a coach or a player, you're going to talk about that player more than you talk about anything else. So I love Coach Skrinjar. Once again, he coached our All-Star game last year. Very good friend of YSN. Very, very pleased that we're able to have him as a part of the YSN family. So good luck to Southern all year. We'll be covering you. We'll be there, being there. Gary Leininger will also be at your girls' game on Thursday, by the way. So if you're a Southern Local Lady Indians fan, make sure to keep an eye out for Gary on Thursday, and you'll be able to go to YSN Live Smug Mug and buy pictures from that game against United. Let's go back into the scoreboard for today, though, before we think about Thursday and talk about the games that are happening tonight across the network. Quick reminder, if you're just joining us, the scoreboard on ysnlive.com is presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. It can be found at ysnlive.com/score. So here we go. We have a slate of girls games and a huge chunk of boys games. We'll start with girls basketball. St. John traveling to Wyndham tonight. We have McDonald trying to get back on track. They are hosting Sebring. Edgewood will be at home against Ashley Beulah Lakeside. Campbell goes to Western Reserve tonight. Lowville hosting Springfield. Other way around, I'm sorry. Springfield hosting Lowville. That'll be a boys-girls doubleheader. We'll see the boys JV, the girls varsity, the boys varsity in that order tonight. Garfield is going on the road to Southeast. That'll be a quick trip for Garfield. They're probably happy that they can finally play a team that they don't have to travel about 40 minutes to get to in the MVAC. Hawken, going to Perry. We have Orange on the road at Chagrin Falls. Crestview also on the road. They're going to Brookfield to try to get back to MVAC dominance after a couple of tough losses over the weekend at Hoban. Jefferson will go to Conneaut. LeBray goes to Champion. Newton Falls hosting Liberty. So you see a lot of MVAC matchups and then some Ashtabula County CVC matchups. Those are the two conferences this year that are playing girls games on Tuesday and Friday for the first half of the year. That'll flip come January. They'll go back to Mondays and Thursdays. Boys will go back to Tuesdays and Fridays. Boys basketball tonight, East Liverpool off that dramatic overtime win on the road tonight against St. Clairsville. Canfield also on the road. They'll be at Marlington. Salem hosting Heartland Christian. This is the second time these two teams are going to be playing this year. They played in the Lisbon Tip-Off Classic earlier this year as well. Fitch on the road against Ursuline. That's a big test for the Falcons. They have a lot to handle with the Irish. Badger with a big rivalry matchup going to Matthews tonight. Boardman travels to Warren JFK. We have Bristol. They'll be taking on Lordstown. Cardinal Mooney on the road. They're going to be playing Canton South. Carrollton will be at Crestview. We have Columbiana. They're going to be in action. They host East Palestine. Girard goes to Poland. Hubbard goes to Niles. We see Louisville on the road against CVCA. Once again, Lowville and Springfield, boys-girls doubleheader. Maplewood travels to Grand Valley tonight. Newton Falls goes to Howland. Pymatuning Valley, it's Fairport Harding. Wyndham and St. John playing a boys-girls doubleheader as well. Sebring and McDonald playing each other tonight. That'll be a boys-girls doubleheader. Southern Local will be at Latonia. Cheney will be at hosting Spire Academy. Struthers goes to South Range, the home opener in the Thriller Dome for the boys. United goes to Lisbon tonight. Wellsville hosts Valley Christian. We have Waterloo traveling to Jackson Milton. Beaver Local going to Cambridge. And then last but not least, Mohawk at home against New Brighton. Now that you know all the games that are going on, let's get to the broadcast schedule and tell you what games you can watch on ysnlive.com. We'll start with girls basketball. Noah Doty will be in Springfield for both the girls and boys games tonight versus Lowville, so he's pulling double duty. We thank him for his hard work. The school will have it covered for Perry and Hawkins, so they'll have you taken care of there. I will be in Champion for LeBray and Champion. That's varsity only, tipping off at 6:15. Larry Jennings will be in Edgewood for their matchup with Lakeside. Then we go to boys basketball. We have Eric Hughes. He'll be at Mohawk for their matchup with New Brighton. Ty Bartell traveling to Ursuline for their matchup with Fitch. Dom O'Brien will be back in the fold against JFK as they host Boardman. Want to welcome back Dom O'Brien. You took a little bit of time off the mic. Interning at WFMJ. We welcome you back. We love having you as a part of our announcing crew. Tony Perazio, will be at Crestview for their matchup with Carrollton. Columbiana will be hosting East Palestine. Joe Eusebio has the call there. Derek Rhodes will have you covered as Salem takes on Heartland Christian. Dakota Kotzel will have you for Hubbard and Niles. Noah Doty, once again, will have Springfield Lowville. Steve Hodge will have you covered for Newton Falls and Howland. Don Pearson will be at Latonia for their matchup with Southern Local. DJ Oakley will be in the Thriller Dome for the South Range home opener against Struthers. Chris Sigler will be at Lisbon for their matchup with United. We have Rob Johnson and the Louisville crew. They're traveling to CVCA to do that game with the Leopards. Sam Torres and Scott Demos will be at Grand Valley for their matchup with Maplewood. And then last but not least, the Poland student crew will have you covered for Girard at Poland. So that is a big night on the network. Let's see. 1, 2, let me count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 boys games and 4 girls games. You do the math, that is 19 basketball games total on the network tonight. So plenty of basketball for all you fans out there that love action on the hardwood. Make sure you tune into all of it and don't miss a beat. You can find all the games that we're going to be covering at ysnlive.com/live. Want to preview tomorrow? We will have Wrestling Wednesday, episode 3. Gary Altizer and Scotty Minter will be with me. We have our first live guest running Wednesday. Not going to give it away. Stay tuned to our social media. We'll announce it tomorrow morning before Running Point, but we do have our first live Wrestling Wednesday guest of season 4. So we're very excited about that. And we're very excited for everything going on. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in like you do every day. And we will see you all tomorrow for Wrestling Wednesdays, episode 3 with Gary Altizer.